place where I can set this up. Now, there we go. Okay, so here we are. Just in the process of getting myself organized to paint a little bit more on this morandi, Giorgio Morandi, an Italian painter who focused on still life, to just paint some more on this. Now, there's nobody watching at the minute, so so let me see if we can move this in a little bit closer, and then we will not have to move me whatsoever. You'd think that he would have this all organised, eh? Okay, so we have one person watching. And I can even read what it is that's being said as well, which is even better. Okay, now, so here we are. This is the third time that I've sat down at this one. And it's really lovely having something like this just sitting in the studio, and then you can just sit and work away at it, which is a really, really nice thing. So we're just going to get into this. Let's see if I need to add in any colours from before. 2 people watching. So questions and comments, keep them coming. See, this is a very different process than painting in watercolour. Just finished the next installment on the series in urban sketching, so looking forward to getting that uploaded. Okay, so let's see where we're at. Let's see what colours we're mixing. Okay, so we're just really at this stage building it up. I'm going to add in some more white to this. Hi Judith. Yeah, looking forward to going down to the sketch club tonight. Should be pretty good. So just playing about here and trying to get in some of these lighter tones. So really it's this kind of slow process which I really enjoy of just building things up. These marks in the wood. Now, as to whether I really want to have these in, I'm unsure, but certainly at this point just adding in these layers is not going to do any harm whatsoever. Just means that I can mark in as well where some of these shadows are. Looks like I need to definitely get some more ochre in. So the paint that I'm using is Winsor & Newton Artisan Water Mixable Oil Colour. I really like it because it's oil and it just like how it works, and also then you're not working with turpentines either, which is nice. Just not having to have that, having the necessity for that particular substance, and also the horrendous smell that tends to come with it. This colour is a bit of a game changer here, being able to add this in. We need to lighten, add in more white to it, but actually it's just quite nice. Just building this in here. Okay, so just I can see where this is. I really am enjoying the slow build on paintings as well, and letting go of this need to really get something completely done and sorted within half an hour, or even in one sitting is just so very liberating. Maybe you're like that too. Maybe you feel the pressure to get it all done in one go. Gone are the days. I actually think it gives you a little bit more perspective as well on it. So you can take your time to consider it, because so much of it is considering what's going to happen next and where you're going to go with it. This tone's a bit of a find here, I have to say. Really pleased with this. Okay, that's at least starting to give a little bit of the vibes of the table. Not that we're wanting it to be absolutely spot on, but okay. Now, that's a good thing about this. These particular paints, they really are fairly easy to clean. Okay, so let's get this water mixable white. So this is a zinc. This one here is it's a zinc mixing white, and it's just that kind of nice off-white, which is really lovely to work with. It's actually less expensive than the titanium white as well. And is really classed more as a mixing white. So this one has baffled me somewhat. Then across here. It's interesting working in a sort of almost in a more detailed manner. I don't know, I would like to, I'm really very much planning on doing this again as well, so that I can just keep working on the same scene. I think there's something really quite lovely about that. This needs to be much grayer. You guys can't see the colours that I'm mixing. This is the colour I'm trying to mix now. I'm going to lighten it up an awful lot because it's for this other jug, and I'm not convinced that I have arrived anywhere near the colour that it actually is. So I'm just going to keep going until we get it. Right, I wonder is this, yeah, it's still a lot darker, although that's going to work okay. Yeah, that's alright. But it's a less blue, right? Okay, so need a good bit more. Zinc mixing white. And the other great thing about oils, obviously, is that they take a long time to dry, and these act pretty much exactly the same as oils that aren't water mixable. I could leave them for a week and the colours would still be available. Whereas obviously with acrylic, that ain't gonna happen. Okay, then we'll add a little bit more brown, I think, to this, just to earth it down a bit more. Let's see where we're at now. That's pretty much what we're getting is pretty much a perfect match here to this. So maybe we need to darken this down even further. This one is the one that has baffled me probably most of all. And that's still too much of a bluey tone. I think really what it needs is just copious amounts of white. And I'm always fighting against the idea of wasting paint, but I'm going to have to just get over myself here and mix this. Anybody else like that? Alright, let's see, that should be a good bit brighter now. There we go, yeah, that's a good bit more now. It's still very bluey. I don't know that I'm in love with that about it, but something that's alright. So maybe bring it down. I think if I added in a number, it's going to really earth it all down. Maybe a little bit too much. A chunk more white. So what are you folks up to? What are you doing with your Friday, whether you're in a different time zone or not? There we go, that's much more like it. Trying to get this off the actual brush here. Just trying to notice where more of the shadows are in this, so they're not. They are definitely further down here. And this area here just needs the attention of colour. Could probably actually mix on the canvas for this one, in that particular area anyway. Okay, so then we'll add in much darker. Although that's going to need to add in more of the brown, the umber. It's more like it now. It's just these lines of colour here that seem to so add. So, and then in this, actually in the back of this as well, it's getting darker too. Right, let's see how this is faring. Yeah, should be a good bit darker along here. Mix that a little so it softens that off, and then we're going to need that in the darkest point as well around here. So Morandi painted he seemed to paint the same thing over and over and over again, which I actually really, really admire. There's something about that, you know. He then started to say that it was about the relationship between the objects that interested him and what was going on there, you know. So we're going to need to soften that off a little more in the corner, just here. By soften I mean it's still a little bit too bluey in tone, so I'm just going to and almost all of my practice now I'm using, you can't see from here, but almost all of my practice I'm using these for reference so that I am not completely slave to the reference the entire time, and I'm able to refer to it instead of it becoming the absolute and utter be all and end all, which is, I have to say, really, really lovely. I find it so beneficial, even in terms of, you know, not having as many screens around me, and just you know, working with something that is a very, very, very familiar size now. I need to go lighter with this. So do share what you're up to today. I know that Judith said that she's going to Sketch Club later on, which is in Hunter Paper in Belfast. If anybody else is interested, you can come along to that. Although if you're not from Belfast, that's, or not from Northern Ireland, that's going to be a bit of a stretch. Trying to make these lines a bit stronger here. Detail, this jug I did not think would require the most detail, and yet here we are, and here it does. And we've also got the darkest lines here underneath where the objects are in the still life too. Okay, so let's get some black on there. So we're really wanting to go for darkest areas under here. There's not actually anything under the egg cup, but there is. Definitely is under here. It's just really, that alone feels like it gives such a depth to it just by adding in the simplicity of those marks. Now, the thing is, we've got some little lightness here. We need to add in more of the darkness to the bottom of V60 filter. I think it needs a little bit more. Oh, it's far too dark. I'm going to rinse that brush. Okay, so we're just going to add in a good bit more white to this to lift this up totally out of the doldrums and color-wise. Just looking to see where else that colour might possibly be. And just a touch of yellow ochre to that to make it that little bit more creamy. So we've got this colour here, and that nice shadow coming across there. Just really trying to read it where it might be. Gonna add in a little bit more yellow ochre to that, and more white as well. So I actually think it needs a little bit of brown. So I'm trying to be very careful with the amounts that I'm adding into this because it really is an off-white. I just need to take care that I don't completely lose it, you know. It's so interesting whenever then the more that you stare at something, the more you can see. The more see how the objects are working together. And also how, you know, when you tend to one bit, you can see, okay, so I know where I need to go next, I know what I need to do next. So they're also very linked. This reflection here, also there's just this little simple line of reflection across here too. But getting just that little bit lighter across there. Just modelling those objects a little bit more. Now, I don't know whether, as that all of a sudden feels like it's got, it's hard to know really. Yes, now that works. Woohoo! Seeing some of the pure white. Add it in just for that. Obviously, the closer that you hold the brush, the more control that you have. So that's why I'm holding it in really tight in there. Just trying to mix a little bit more. The darker brown of the morandi. This is not for the faint of heart. Okay, so let's take off. Now we need to get this egg cup more in situ. I'm pouring water all over myself here. Let's get this egg cup more in situ than it's been so far. So we need to get it and find it in its place. A little bit more. So we're going to do that by, I think the white will just add in. White with a little bit of the, yeah, go. Making it much more fluid. Probably actually going to need, I think what we're going to need at this point is probably more of the titanium white to be able to pick up on the subtleties of the egg cup, and also for this, so that these kind of trace lines, just straight across the top of the jug and things like that, but also probably need to mix a vast quantity to get a colour into this background that actually is much more colour than I'm looking for now. It's maybe decidedly risky to do this, but I think it probably does need it. If I mix, it's going to be a much darker tone. Try and settle this into a background here, but I'm nervous about the colour as to how successfully I can find this colour, although I think it really, the whole thing I think would very much benefit from having a much more solid colour in the background. So I think that's something we need to do. You can tell when I'm focusing because there's not much talking, and this live, to be fair, has been quieter than most, but it's just nice to be painting. Settling in a colour into the background. That was more of the spread that I needed across there. I am finding these still lives wonderfully challenging, and it is really interesting to push yourself to do things that you don't normally do, particularly in media that you don't, I certainly don't sell myself as another painter, and yet I do believe I'm a painter. That comes in all sorts of media, so as we continue to plug away, and work on this to find its conclusion, whatever that conclusion might well be. So it's actually really interesting too when you effectively flatten off the background, the effect that has on the objects. So interesting. Some of you are probably going, Don't know whether this translates across. Can you tell me your thoughts? I haven't. As I said, this has been a quiet one, and I'm actually okay with that. But I hope that you are too. If you're watching, it's hopefully of some interest to you. The other thing that filling in this does is gives me opportunity to correct some lines as well. So to anyone who's just joined, we're just working our way around this. At this point we are filling in the background, and I am totally seeing the value in this. So this is very interesting to me. I'm just going to leave it like I would a lot of how I paint, which is, sorry, I'm struggling to get the words out because I'm focused on attending this. So a lot of how I would paint is really not caring about whether the background is, got fully formed or not. Completion for me is in the focal point in the objects, and actually with this it's so interesting to me that actually giving them a flat background is really adding to the whole depth of the still life painting. It's really very interesting. See which colour out now. Oh, it's much darker than we want. That big blob of white has now disappeared. And interesting to try and mix this colour again as well, because it's quite a tricky shade to get accurately. Okay. Okay, so now we can begin to continue to work this up and around. Just adding this in now, you can see the difference in the shades just as you, there's little hairs decided to land on the canvas. And interestingly, it's getting lighter and lighter as you go towards the top as well, so let me afford it that luxury. It is lovely the way that oil interacts with itself, and how really is not averse to blending. Not averse to blending at all. And I'm a sucker for using as much of the paint as I can, because I hate the idea of waste. But I also like it not going right to the edges. I like it going to the edges of the object, but I don't. I love that it doesn't have to go. Because part of the work that I really enjoy about this is from the brush off, really using sfumato. Soften that off. Okay, well, that's all I'm going to do for today. And I think we've made some pretty interesting progress. Really interesting to me to have that background flat, and also the work on the objects as well is interesting. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching, for those of you who did, and I will keep this video up, although I don't think it's that most interesting of a video, but certainly interesting to get the background filled in more. Okay, bye for now, everyone.